Welcome into the WMDJ Sports 2025-26 basketball preview show. You know me, you know Steve from football season. It's a short break for us, but that's plenty okay because basketball is this kind of rejuvenation a little bit, Steve, after a couple days off. But the guy in the middle, he's making his return to FM 100 Sports. The coach, I don't know what other names you all may call him. He gets called a lot of things, I'm sure. Mark Martin, good to have you back, Mark. We're kind of taking a step aside a little bit for basketball, and this is your baby this year.
Josh, thanks, and it's good to be back. And let me just say, first of all, my gratitude to Mr. Dale and Miss Sandy and Josh here for the opportunity, everybody. And it's been a while, a little bit less hair. The glasses are a little bit thicker, but excited to be part of the WMDJ sports team and ready to rock and roll, and let's get this thing started.
All right, let's go. We are less than a week away from basketball season.
Gosh, and we've already got some viewers pulling on, so that's good to see. And, if you've got it, if you've got some people that's wanting to join, the format's going to be tonight is we're going to cover the girls' side of things all the way from last season up to last season's regional tournament, and then we're going to look at the boys' side of things. So we'll get to the girls, and first of all, before we came on the air, this is the girls' 52nd season of modern-day history because we all know that in 1932, for some reason, the girls' basketball wasn't allowed to be played in the state of Kentucky. And the modern-day history game started with a game held at McDowell in which Allen Central and McDowell. Allen Central made the trip over Sizemore Mountain or up Route 122, whichever the one you'd want to take. And they played in front of an old packed McDowell gym. And Allen Central would go on and win the 58th District Tournament in that game also, but they would fall to Sheldon Clark in the semifinals. Sheldon Clark defeated McDowell in the championship and go on and win the region's first girls' 15th regional titles. But, guys, that tip-off in the old McDowell gym started the modern-day history, and we had McDowell and Allen Central to do it. And we've got a lot of rich history of girls basketball here in the 15th region.
Yeah, and what's cool is if you take a walk through the Mountain Sports Hall of Fame at Wayland, which is a phenomenal exhibit if anyone's ever never been, and talking to Jerry Fulton, some of the people, they were like, girls playing basketball. It was kind of an odd thought when it kind of came back in the mid '70s, and it's just this odd concept of before then it was majorettes or band or cheerleading, and that was really about it. For females, but it's a lot of people want to talk about the boys because they've been around for so long, but girls, it's not been around as long, but it's just as deep in history and everything else, especially in Floyd County.
Yeah, and you talk about all the especially with the game that really started it all with Allen Central and McDowell, and how far the game has come along and progressed to where we are now, and you just think about all the teams, especially here in the 58th district. With the tradition-rich history, you talk about the boys, but the girls as well. And they have really paved the way. Several big-time names over the years, big-time coaches and teams altogether have paved the way to where we are now.
And not many people really think about this, but let me tell you, to attest, it wasn't that the girls were not playing basketball. They were being out on the sandlot with them because I can attest, I would not pass softball or baseball with my big sister. She threw a harder fastball than I did. So, that first team of Allen Central had Catbird Isaac, Kim Hall, Nina Conley, who posted a great text about Title IX and the importance of that game.
Well, what's funny too is you talk to Catbird and Jerry Grigsby and branch out to the region. Robin Newsom, they were practicing against the boys.
They had to.
They should have been head and shoulders above everybody else because they're going to the boys' practices. Jerry's dad, of course, Pete. She's in there with the Daredevils every day, practicing and stuff. So they should have been a little bit better than everybody else.
I've got to say hi to Anthony Morgan Sizemore, and guys from Anthony's been a fan since way back when I was doing this with WMDJ, and he said, Coach, you got to say string music for me one time tonight. So there's your string music, Anthony, and can't wait to get things started. And tonight's question for you guys out there, who was the first girls 58th District basketball team to win the 15th region. Now, the people on Rock Beaver should know that. Hint, hint.
I'm just putting it in the chat.
So if you know, send it to the chat and see what we do there. And get into this year, there's going to be some coaching changes along the regional landscape. Here in the 58th, Floyd Central's Justin Triplett returns back as Tyler Little has moved into administration, Josh.
Yeah, and you know, what's weird is you replace one 15th region coach of the year and Tyler Little, who was named KABC coach of the year last year, with another coach of the year. Have you ever had a region coach of the year replace another region coach of the year?
If anybody would know, it would be you.
Amen on that.
Because Triplett won it back in 2021, but no, it's he was an assistant with the boys last couple of years, so he's not really left, but I'm sure that it's they got a really good team in Floyd Central that we'll talk about a little bit more in detail coming up, but I'm sure he's just to get back and especially the group that he'll have to work with.
And Steve, over in the 59th, Shelby Valley got a new coach, John Mead, who has ties to Floyd County and played at South Floyd, had a great career there during Henry Webb's teams. And he was an intern last year, and he's starting up with his first 4 seasons, and you had a conversation with him.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit earlier today, and, of course, they're excited to get the season started, but they did receive some bad news that they have 2 starters that are injured this year. One has a torn ACL, and the other one is likely to have a torn ACL. So 2 key starters from last year's team are out for the season, and it just hasn't even started yet. So a tough blow there for Shelby Valley.
Josh, that's one thing that I've kind of looked at throughout the years. I would like to know the stats and the data on ACL injuries. What sport has the most ACL injuries? Is it girls basketball or is it boys basketball? And there's theories there, but that's for another show. But over in Belfry, over in the 60th, Belfry Matt Thornsbury replaces longtime coach Kevin Deskins, and Belfry's going to have a young team, but Coach Thornsbury has the reputation of being a good coach, and this is his first coaching job under the KHSA umbrella. So looking out and starting to look at the 20 and 24 season, sorry about that, looking at it, and Johnson Central was pretty much a prominent regional favorite going into the season, but there were some other teams that were getting a little bit of the chatter also, Steve.
Yeah, they really was, and of course Johnson Central, they are always a perennial contender every single year. Just due to how big the school is, they have a huge allotment of students and great players and athletes in that school. So it doesn't really matter what sport it is, especially girls basketball. They are going to be a contender year in and year out.
Josh, what was some of the teams that you were looking at last year? I was watching from a distance, but you guys were doing a great job at that time on the basketball. What were some of the girls' team that you when the season tipped off that you was thinking, hey, they're going to play well?
Well, heading into last year, a lot of the talk was Johnson Central. They had made that run to the region final in 2024, ran into that Pikeville team with Kristen Whited and Kiera Thornsberry and Trinity Rowe, and nobody was beating that team in the 15th region. But because Johnson Central returned everybody back, that was kind of the team, and they go 27-4, and kind of lived up to the hype. But Pikeville was in the mix. Denise Campbell taking over that program last year, who's been a head coach at several different stops with a lot of success. Floyd Central kind of had an emergence of sorts with Reagan Lafferty and Maddie Engel, and Phelps didn't win a game at the regional tournament. But they won the district championship, and it got to play in the region quarterfinals for the first time since 2009. Kind of surprised everybody with Melanie Sensel, who has since stepped down. But it was kind of top heavy with your traditional favorites in Central and Pikeville, but there were some other teams in Phelps who had a really good year. Lawrence County kind of made a surprise run after losing Kinsley Feltner a couple years before, but it's the same ones, but good to see a team like Phelps kind of have some postseason success.
While starting out the 20 and 25 season, Johnson Central started out of the gates in a hurry. Coach Jim Hicks' squad started out winning their first 10 games before losing to Taylor County in a holiday tournament held in Alabama. And Josh mentioned earlier that Johnson Central had lost to Taylor County twice and that was 2 of Johnson Central's 4 losses there. And a couple other squads that were playing well before the second half of the season, including Martin County. Martin County and Coach Robin Harmon was sitting at 4-4. Paintsville sat at 4-7. But those 2 squads' competition in that early part of the schedule was a who's who considering the teams. Lawrence County, as Josh mentioned, started out 5-1, yet dropped 3 straight in a tournament held at Bath County. Floyd Central 7-2, Betsy Lane 5-5, and Prestonsburg was sitting at 4-7. And guys, you know, as a coach and as a fan, and you guys know this, you know, each coach says, well, it's going to take time to gel. But I think in the back of people's minds and the coach's mind, boy, it'd be nice to get that rhythm quick and early. And Johnson Central definitely did that. But numbers are kind of misconceiving. You know, you look at Paintsville 4-7, you look at Martin County 4-4, you'd say, well, if you didn't know the teams they played, you'd say, well, they're not playing too well.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, and you look at especially a team like Paintsville, who is extremely young. They are extremely young last year, and, of course, they are led by Kylie Kenner. And Kylie, especially going into the postseason, she put up great numbers all season long, but she went on an absolute tear in the postseason starting in the district tournament. She was averaging roughly 30 and 15 a night, and almost pulled off the upset in the district championship, almost single-handedly defeated Johnson Central in the district championship game. So you look at teams like Paintsville, they really didn't lose a whole lot. You return a great player like Kenner and some great role players around her. I did have a conversation with Don Kenner as well a couple of weeks ago. So look for Paintsville to be one of the teams to make a lot of noise in the 57th.
Josh, you got some people that have chimed in, and one of Allen Central's great Kim Shepard we saw, and also a legend in his time was Rady Martin.
Well, Rady said the Lady Rebs either in 81 or 82 with Kim Shepard, and Kim was the the player on that 1982, really early 80 Allen Central girls teams, but the 82 team who won the region championship over Belfry in overtime, the first Floyd County 58th district team to win the region title in 1982. And that's they wouldn't win it again until 1994 with Bill Newsom and Betsy Lane, the county would. So you were I'll give it to you, Rady. You said or 82. I'll give you 82.
Half a point.
Half a point. You got the or in there, which kind of docks you a little bit, but I'll give you credit.
But we appreciate the interaction. And speaking of at Allen Central, you had Ramona Bucky Hall, who had 20 points in the state tournament game. You mentioned Kim Shepard, who went on and played at the University of Marshall. Boy, wouldn't it be nice to have a 58 district player go and play again at University of Marshall?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great. So heading into with the tradition here in the Commonwealth, the first couple of weeks in January, teams across the state participate in the All-A and the 2A, and last season's tournament provided some good matchups. Prestonsburg lost to Pikeville and yet went to Paintsville and won 67-44 behind some good shooting of Audrey Prater's points. And I think the win at Pikeville in the All-A kind of gave Brandon Kidd's coaches, his squad, some confidence because Prestonsburg was kind of struggling there early. As we said, heading into the All-A, they were sitting at 4-7.
Yeah, they really did, Coach. And you look at they kind of had the same recipe 2 years ago also. They kind of struggled out the gate and then really picked things up toward the second half of the season, like you mentioned, after the All-A. And they really picked up a lot of momentum, especially going into district play. And, that's when you really have to start peaking, is right toward the end of the regular season. You want to try to get as much momentum as you can when it comes to postseason play.
And back to the teams that were sitting at 4-4 and Paintsville at 4-7, you've got that debate, as a coach. And I think it compares to where you have a young squad that you wanted to really go out on the schedule and get some confidence and experience. Maybe not go out and play those programs that Martin County and Paintsville and Johnson Central can play. And I think, there's an old saying in coaching, your schedule can either help you or it can really beat you.
Yeah.
And I think our coaches do in the region. They do a good job of all scheduling things on that. And the All-A title went to
Martin County.
Martin County.
Both. They swept, boys and girls.
Yep.
They defeated Betsy Lane 41-40, and boy, at that time, Coach Thacker's squad was playing with a lot of confidence.
They were.
And they came back, bounced back after that loss, and won the next 9 out of 10, 10 out of 12 games in the later part of the schedule. And I thought Coach Thacker was up from possibly like Coach Little from Floyd Central could have been in the conversation of Coach of the Year.
Yeah, no doubt. But
Yeah.
I'll have to agree because I know that was the topic of conversation was a lot last year was between those two for Coach of the Year was Tyler and Corey. And you know, especially with Tyler last year, they were great head coaches, and, you know, it was great to have them both here in the 58th District to lead Betsy Lane and Floyd Central, and they both done a tremendous job.
And I can see that last shot that Maddie Collins put up against
Yes.
Martin County.
Yep.
A wide open three on the wing. They set her a pick. She comes off of it. They give her the ball, lets it go as time expires, and it looks great, just a little bit short. But I think that game that you were alluding to, Mark, it really kind of showed that they can play with kind of the upper tier teams in the region, and they had a lot of confidence, and they've got a nice core to work with if they can stay healthy heading into this year, and they expect a lot out of their squad this year.
Heading into the 2A tournament, Johnson Central and Floyd Central and Prairie Central, and I can't remember the other team that's in 2A, or maybe are they just 2A squads now? in our
Lawrence, McGoffin. What's weird in the 2A is some schools will play in the boys basketball tournament, some will play in the girls, some will only play volleyball, some will play baseball and softball, but you can kind of pick and choose which of your sports plays in the 2A tournament. So it's a little inconsistent, but I think the Section 8 is Perry Central, Lawrence County, McGoffin, Floyd Central, Johnson Central, Pike Central, and that might be maybe Belfry and Letcher. Letcher's in it too.
Johnson Central beat Floyd Central, and they went on and defeated Prairie Central 76-33. But again, as we mentioned this team earlier in the opening round, Johnson Central took a 33-76 thumping from Taylor County. But now, hold on, Taylor County went on in the state tournament to become to the Final 8. They lost to a good team that went and won the state tournament, which was Sacred
Heart.
Sacred Heart. Well, just a couple weeks prior to that game, they had lost to Taylor County in a tournament over Christmas in double overtime. So I'm sure they had a little bit of confidence going into the 2A state tournament, and then just didn't quite work out for them. But, you know, you lose 4 games. You lose 2 games to one team in a state tournament who went on to have success in the state tournament, and then one out-of-state opponent, and then lose to the team that, you know, has had the best player in the state for, 5 years that went 35-3 in Sacred Heart, and there's not a whole lot of head hanging that can be done on the part of Johnson Central last year.
That was pretty much a regular season, and we kind of started looking into the girls as far as it was going into the region. And guys, let me get your opinion on this. What do you think of this new format?
I love
the Appalachian Wireless,
The Super Region?
Super
Yeah,
Region.
yes.
I
yes.
absolutely love it.
I'll tell you what. I guess, I don't know, Coach, if you're the same way, but starting out, I guess I was just more a traditionalist. I didn't like it, and I had my reasons why. I just love the traditional format. And now we are entering – we've already had 2 years of it now, and I'm sold on it. And the reason I'm sold on it is you look – because they're trying to set it up like the NCAA tournament with the play-in games. And I understand the argument people are going to say, well, it just you give every team a participation trophy or opportunity, things like that. But look at Lawrence County.
Yep.
They had to win 5 games to win the regional championship.
Point, Steve.
5 games.
Great point.
Well, they lost in the first round of district.
Yeah.
And, the argument
So they
is –
set them back even further.
The argument is,
if they made the
if you're Kentucky and you're a top 5 team in the country and you lose in the semifinals of the SEC tournament, well, maybe you had a bad night or a bad matchup, right? But just because you didn't make it to your conference's championship game doesn't mean you don't get a chance. It's just your path is harder.
Yeah.
And Lawrence got upset by Prestonsburg, and they had the first team ever to win 4 games to win a region title.
Yep.
They had to win that extra one.
Yep.
And we nearly had it the year before on the girls' side, and I love it. It's pure chaos, and I think
it really is.
Unless you kind of get in the weeds a little bit, it can be hard to understand, especially with the drawing and everything. And I think that's where a lot of people's, nervous anxiousness came from, is because they just didn't quite understand it.
I think that and logistically was an issue the first year because you ran into – I think that they're trying to figure that out as you go on. But you look at the first year, you had – I think it was Paintsville girls played in I think maybe East Ridge or Shelby Valley, and then the boys just a few hours later was playing in Lawrence County.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're from a logistics standpoint. I think a lot of people were kind of
having the same school play in different places.
Yes, yeah. So I think they're trying to make a more concerted effort to
accommodate.
to accommodate like a boys and a girls program if they have to play on the same day.
I love
in
it.
the play-in games.
You know, if I could add, it left out, from the northern part of the region, you always heard that backlash about the 57th was going to leave 2 teams home, and they always argued
exactly.
that 3 teams, their third team was just as good. But last year it came out, guys, we had 3 of our district teams in the Final 4.
Yeah.
Final 8, excuse me.
And people, and the biggest argument was, well, it diminishes the district tournaments. I think it makes it that much more important.
It makes it a lot more important because it makes the path less harder.
And the 6th region actually this year adopted the super region format for volleyball.
Oh.
Now, they did away completely with district tournaments, which I don't like. But it's already being implemented in other places and other sports. And I think it makes districts that much more important because you've got, if you win your district, you're guaranteed a spot in the Final 8, the big region, the quarter, at the arena. If you're a runner-up, you get a home game in the regional tournament. And if you lose, you've got to play, but you still got a chance.
Okay, Coach, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Before we move forward, you asked about the format.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about, does it need to get out of the arena? Does it need to go back to the high school? Especially with how it was last year. Of course, it had to be moved out last year due to the unfortunate circumstances. But
it's gonna pop that lid off the can of worms, are you?
Hey.
Well, I think
just open positive debate here. Just being honest. So
I think Steve and Josh, I think that's a debate that we'd like to hear from what our people that are watching.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of the new super regional? And I know on the boys' side, and we're not going there yet, but on the boys' side, we were taking a lot of backlash from the state because of how can you lose the first game of the district and still win your region? And that was some of the backlash that the northern part of the state was giving us to our 15th. Yeah. But in the 57th district of the girls, Johnson Central had to fight off Paintsville by 4, and Johnson Central edged out of that. Paintsville came back and got beat in the opening round. The 58th district champion was Lawrence County as they defeated Prestonsburg 61-56. The 59th district champion was Pikeville. They defeated Shelby Valley 76-48, and Phelps defeated Pike Central 67-44. For as far as I can find out, everyone, dating back to way beyond in the early 80s, Phelps did win the regional title in 88 and 89, sandwiched between Belfry and Elkhorn City. And so that kind of reflects, at that time in the 15th region of girls basketball history, your smaller schools had some very good teams. Yep. Elkhorn City was one of 3 schools to make it in the state tournament Final 4.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so from that point on, it's kind of went back to your Johnson Central, your larger schools and stuff like that. So congratulations to Pikeville, Phelps, Lawrence County, and Johnson Central, and we will cover more into those teams when we get back to the team capsules. So can we check on any of the Rady Martin says he loves the super regional but wish actual regional games were held at high school gyms. And Rady, if I can, let me ride off the coattail of Brady's comment and also Alan Wright's.
Yeah, Alan Wright.
I think there's a good thing that we could do, and if they did it last year, I can't remember, is let the district winner have a home court game. Have the runner-up, whoever the first game is, let the district teams, the district champions, let them play a home game that first round. Let them have that home crowd. Let them
They did that before.
Let them generate a little bit of money.
Been years ago, it's been a while.
2003.
Back. Yeah.
Let them get a little bit of money because, guys, if you look at it, the Appalachian Wireless, we will always call it the Expo. The first round games, I mean, the crowds are really not there. But now when you get into the Final 4, man, that Expo is pretty much filled up.
I would have liked to have seen the quarterfinal game last year at the arena between Floyd Central and Betsy Lane. Because, of course, Floyd Central loses in the district first round, so they have to play, a couple games. Betsy Lane's your district winner, So they would have been at the arena already. I would have liked to have seen how the crowd would have been at the arena with that game, because that's an anomaly. I know it's kind of an outlier because you're not going to get that kind of inter-district matchup in the first round a lot. But with the way those teams, that rivalry, I would have liked to have seen how that crowd compared to the capacity of the arena.
Steve's got the all-tournament, all-regional team, which I think is kind of most of the time these girls are well-deserving. The only thing that kind of is debatable is what's the criteria? I've broadcast before, and some people say let the coaches vote on it. Some people say the media. And I just think the all-tournament award needs to be a rounded award based on stats. You can, for a perfect example, I'm not going to name the child or name the player. I can remember a couple years ago when kid had 22 points, and there was some certain media groups said, hey, well, she needs to be on the all-tournament, because we are all trying to talk and say, get this to it. But how many points did the child shoot to get the 22 points? She took 18 shots to make the 22 points. And so – but the all-tournament for these kids, for these girls that made it, hits a who's who. And, Steve, I know that I can tell you one kid that made it. It was Kylie Kenner from Painesville.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And you look at the champion, all 5 starters make it. So you had Maddie Prater, Kaylin McKenzie, Haley Marcelette, and Carly Stanley from Johnson Central. And then Addison Burchett was the MVP for Johnson Central. And then Lawrence County, the runner-up, you had Jada Patton, Sophie Atkins, and Madison Artrip. And Martin County, you had Brooklyn Markham and aforementioned Kylie Kenner for Paintsville. Floyd Central was Chloe Crace. Phelps was Kaylee McCoy. Pikeville, Catherine Walters, and Leanne Jackson. And then Prestonsburg, you had Audrey Prater and Jade Fitzpatrick.
Boy, what a year little Audrey Prater had. And Jade Fitzpatrick, she just finished up a great soccer career also. And knowing those 2 little girls, and then Chloe Crace, let me tell you guys, we'll talk a little bit more about her coming up. But I'm anticipating a big year out of her.
She's got to be aggressive in terms of getting the shot up. And Chloe, if you're watching, listen, you've got the shot. There are games where it's almost like she's gun shy. She's got to catch it and shoot. She can get to the basket. But if she can knock down that outside shot consistently from game to game, and I don't mean 5, 6, 7 a game, but enough to keep the defenses honest, that'll really open things up for some of the other girls that we'll talk about.
And she definitely has the ability to do that, and I think they're going to put her in a good situation to be able to get those shots. And if she's open, she can drain them.
Well, guys, that's pretty much a quick wrap-up of what was a memorable 24-25 season. And any closing comments on the last season's results and the conversation?
I mean, I think it's definitely going to be an exciting season upcoming. And I know we mentioned maybe some predictions, but, it could really be anybody's ball game. And you talk about the 58th district. I know me and Josh have talked about it a few times over the last little bit, and obviously Lawrence County, the defending champions, they lost quite a bit, but they still have that target on their chest. But I mean, with the other 3 teams here in county, this 58th district is going to be wide open. I think that'd be a great conversation to have as to who you think could win 58th.
Can I make a bold prediction for girls?
Please do.
Go for it.
Floyd County will have a team playing in the 15th region championship game.
Okay, I like that. So it could be anybody, not just one.
Betsy Lane, Floyd Central, Prestonsburg.
Okay.
One of those 3 will be playing in the region championship game.
Dartha Wheeler, I'm going to let Josh read this text.
Okay, I see.
Oh my gosh,
Me or you?
You've made the young
Go
guy
ahead,
smile,
go ahead.
Dartha. You made Doretha, I think.
Okay.
Doretha Wheeler. You've made the old guy smile, and I remember that tournament well. It was a King of the Bluegrass, which back in that day there were 8 teams invited across the state. There were 4 Lexington schools playing 4 out-of-state teams. Mm-hmm. And us little Allen Central guys, Coach Howard Wallen Jr., loaded us up and took us to Lexington. And for many of us, it was the first time going to Lexington. And we had to play Lexington Lafayette. And Doretha, if I'm not mistaken, they beat us 72-70 on 2 free throws with 4 seconds to go. So, but I appreciate the text, and you've made my heart smile. What did she say, Steve?
Okay. 1979 at Lafayette Tournament, Mark Martin scored 12 points. Harold Leader picture shows Mark driving to the basket in his 3-stripe Adidas shoes. What style did Bruce Mullins 1982 play in high school?
What style?
Yeah, Bruce Mullins.
Oh, whatever style he wanted. Gosh, Teresa, thank you so much. And we were all disappointed. That was our first loss of the season. We started out 6-0, and you just brought back a lot of memories. That was 2 great years under Coach Wallen, and we had a good team. Bruce, to me, Bruce has to be logically one of the best players to ever come out of Allen Central, and he's still a good friend. So moving on, and Keith Frazier says, great job tonight, guys. Looking forward to more shows. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Keith.
And let's go back and let's start off the 25 and 26 seasons. And what we'll do here, everyone, is we're going to have each of us kind of give you a team capsule that we've either contacted the coach, looked up, and let me tell you, the hours that we've talked about of us doing and getting this information to you. And this is the thing that we talked about in the preseason meeting with each of us. We hope to be this team that when we give you information, it's going to be like a .org.
Hope so.
And
Yep.
we hope for that. And we're not going to show up. And each of us have a value, and I think each of us have a strong passion of putting out a great product. And it's not really a job to each one of us, but we're putting in a lot of time. And so the first team capsule, we'll start with the 57th District. And Josh has the Johnson Central Lady Golden Eagles, and Coach Hicks, anticipation of probably another powerful year, Coach Steve.
I think I had Josh.
Josh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I need a timeout, Coach.
last season, Coach Hicks kind of finally broke through and won his first region title as a head coach. He came to Shelby Valley back in 2013 from Grant County, and you could argue had some of the region's better teams when he was there on the boys' side and could never really get over the hump. Ran into Johnson Central a couple times, coincidentally, but last year got his first region title as head coach. They knocked off Lawrence County 64-41 and really didn't have much of a close contest in the postseason except for outside that Painesville game in the district. But they went on to play Sacred Heart in the first round of the Sweet 16 and kind of had done to them what they did to a lot of teams in the postseason, losing to the eventual state champion Valkyries, pretty handily, 71-25. But Addison Burchett, as Steve just mentioned, was named tournament MVP, averaging 18 points a game. You mentioned they defeated Perry Central to win their first ever 2A section championship, and they've got a lot of girls back. They do lose 4 players that were named all tournament: Addison Burchett, Haley Marcellette, Kaylin McKenzie, Maddie Prater. But you've got a sophomore in Carly Stanley who's been playing varsity ball since 7th grade at Belfry, Allie Sloan, Emma McKenzie. Jim Hicks told me they're young. I feel like they're young every single year, but the talent and the experience doesn't really change. Extremely talented. They're going to rely heavily on their defensive pressure because that's what they do. They'll kind of play the first quarter and kind of toy to see what your game plan is, and then make those adjustments between the first and second quarters, and they will just get after you in transition. Defensive press, they're very quick. Their outside shooting isn't great, but honestly, if they can get those steals and turnovers, they don't need the outside shooting a whole lot. And the one thing that he wanted to point out was the girls that he listed, and I mentioned them, they allow him to play the way that he wants his teams to play. They're young but very talented. If we continue to work hard, then the sky's the limit. And 27-4 is pretty hard to follow up. But they're kind of set up for the long haul with the group they've got coming up in underclassmen.
Gosh, I can remember, if I can interject here real quickly, man, the teams of Coach Philip Wireman. And, the thing that is different from this Jim Hicks run that he's doing compared to Coach Philip Wireman's guys, let me tell you, when Philip Wireman's girls came into the gym, you thought he was bringing a small Division II college. They were just a different style. They would just beat you to death. They would do that high-low action.
Yeah.
And they went on and won many regional titles. As a matter of fact, they lead the region in regional titles with 11.
Wow.
Their first one came back in 1985, and then from there they kind of had a stretch there from 5 on the way up to about 2011. And then their last one came under Coach Jim Hicks again last year. And, Josh, I think, Stephen, I would agree with you that they've got to be a strong regional contender this year.
The losses they suffered were pretty significant, but I think by the end that's going to be a team that you kind of expect to see near the top of the region rankings. Record may not be what it was last year at 27-4, but that the record can sometimes be a little bit of misleading. But I think once some of those other girls kind of learn their roles as they progress, I think they'll be just fine.
Rady Martin has chimed in again. And, Rady, we appreciate the interaction, buddy, because we know that you're a valued listener and with a lot of basketball history. And then some guy named Steve Sloan.
I may know him a little bit.
Says, great job, guys. Hey, Mr. Steve, the check's in the mail, buddy. Check's in the mail.
and piggyback on Steve, he did say that of the arena, the Expo Center, he agrees that it needs to be out of the arena. And then he also actually had a few comments back as well when we started about Jerry Grigsby. And to go back to her, he said that I guess he had ran into Johnny Ray Turner. It was actually at the 50th anniversary celebration this past season, and she played with a boys basketball.
They all did.
Yeah, that's all they had.
Well, I don't know.
That just makes it even more impressive, though.
Well, and speaking of girls basketball, how about Coach Kevin Spurlock from down there in Texas, who has his team off to a pretty good start this season? He chimed in, looking good, Mark. Glad to see you back covering high school basketball.
Oh, Coach, you're the best, buddy. And, I saw the picture, and Kevin is, there's not a better guy in my world. And, I got to tell this funny story.
He knows a thing or two about basketball.
When we first started hooking up at WMDJ, Keith Frazier and everybody around town was taking over and under that me and Kevin would be fighting on live after it was the over-under was 5 games or not. So, but he's turned out to be one of my best friends in life.
And you made it 6 before haymakers were thrown.
He's just doing great. His whole family's doing great. He's got his girls down there, and he's having fun coaching girls basketball. And when he comes in, we play pickleball, and I've got to give him credit. He beat me. But the last game he can't play no more because I blew his knee out. So, other than that, it's just a great guy, and like you said, knows a lot. You want to talk about a resume?
Yeah.
Now you want to? I'll put coaches.
Any resume that includes an all-A state championship, I think is pretty decent.
Yes, and and Steve, back to your dad's quote about Jerry playing with the boys basketball. Now I got to hold off on that a little bit, okay? Knowing Pete and knowing Johnny Ray, I wouldn't doubt if they found the girls basketball for Jerry. Knowing those two crimes, Lord.
I just got a message from Tyler Little. He said, "Don't read it, so don't worry, Tyler." But I do appreciate it, and it made me laugh. So, Lady Jags are coming up, though. I promise.
Guys, that's what we want to do with this show. We're going to give you in-depth knowledge, people who don't want to take the time to do this, and we know that you don't want to hear our opinions about what we think about UK football or UK basketball. We want to try to bring you the best high school 15th region basketball coverage. And let me tell you, us three, these two guys to my left and one to my right here, we're committed to do that, fellas, aren't we?
No doubt.
I'm excited.
I'm ready to go.
So Steve's got the McGoffin County Lady Hornets, who has kind of fallen on a little bit of hard times. But, boy, let me add this before you get started. Let me tell you, little Jazzy Howard. I had the benefit of calling her games, and you want to talk about those teams that Steve Pup Miller had in the 12 and 13. And you got to go back to little Ashley Howard when Neil West had them, because that's when they started building up. And Ashley Howard went on and had a good career. But Jazzy and her twin sister, Savannah Howard.
Leslie.
And there was a little blonde-headed girl. I can't think of her, but man, let me tell you, they fought like a bunch of Hornets. And let me tell you, they beat you like you owed them money. And McGoffin County, that's pretty valuable.
They were fun to watch.
Steve, what's up with McGoffin County?
So I was able to get in touch with head coach Justin Williams. He's actually entering his 8th season as McGoffin head coach. And you'd mentioned the history that they've had with their program. It's fallen on some lean times, and he will actually be looking for his first winning season. And this team, he says, that will be one of the best he has had. They did finish with just a record of 6-23 last season, and ended in the play-in round in the Super Region with a loss to Floyd Central. And their last regional tournament appearance was actually back in the 2018-19 season, where they also lost to Floyd Central. And talking about some of the key players he had coming back, actually had a few transfers coming in as well. But Abby Barnett, as a senior, she'll be coming back, was a leading scorer last season, averaging around 12 a game. Macy Williams, only a sophomore. She was second on the team in scoring, around 11 points. Bella Trusty, a junior, and Emily Sluss, a senior. And then Kelsey Sloan was a transfer from Berea. And then Jaylee Reed, she actually was she had previously played on the team, but she is back now. But Kelsey Sloan is a transfer from Berea, so she will she's only a sophomore, so that'll be a big benefit. I guess to provide some more depth for Coach Williams is something else he had spoke on as well. And of course, you talk about some of the games on their schedule, and honestly, and it's going to be for all 57th district teams, boys and girls. All district games are going to be tough. Those are going to be some of the notable games they have. It doesn't matter who you play, and then they will actually play Knott Central on December the 19th, defending 14th region champions, and then they will go to the Berea Holiday Classic on December 27th against Lexington Catholic.
And that Berea tournament is, a lot of teams around here will go to Florida, will go to Myrtle Beach, will go to South Carolina and play in these, and that's fine and dandy. It's all up to the coach's preference, but man, if you want to travel and not wear your kids out, that Berea tournament, it's close,
Right.
and that's the thing that I would like to see us try to get some type. You look at Prestonsburg having a city tourism. Well, I think one of the best tourism ideas that we have is let's start trying to have us our own big Christmas tournament at home for the boys and girls.
Yeah.
That way that our kids get to sleep in their own beds, and bring in some teams that will come in here and eat at our restaurants, stay at our lodges, and see what we have back here.
Yeah.
Because
for a while there was the Jenny Wiley tournament, which I guess originally was a preseason tournament. Then they had it on Christmas for a while. Kevin had at Floyd Central brought in Christian County.
Yeah.
Boyd County, the team from Pennsylvania. He brought in some teams from out of state and around the state, and I mean we've got the facilities.
It's a great
I think
opportunity.
it'd be a really good idea if I'm not going to spearhead it, but that's what other people get paid to do. But I think we've got the facilities, and I know people want to travel, but to go stay 3 nights, a couple of days in somewhere right after Christmas can be pretty costly.
You just took the thought out of my mind. Is you just look. I mean, look what a family has to do if they have 2 kids at play. Look at the tickets at the gate. I know we got to play the officials, all that, but like you said, I'd like to have some games over the Christmas tournament to where we can bring in kids like you just mentioned. Christian County. I was doing the Facebook thing at that time, and they came up and I had to ask them how to pronounce their last names. So, but moving on, I've got a program that if you look at the legacy of girls programs in the 15th region, you guys know what I'm going to say. And it's mentioned in most of our individual players. And speaking of those legacies of players, it's got to be Robin Harmon and the Martin County Lady Cardinal program. The resume of Coach Harmon, 15 57th district titles, 9 regional titles, including the first 4 as a player, and with the last one coming back in 2011. Now it's speaking of Sheldon Clark, not Mountain County. And you look at the accolades of the individual honors. You had her first team All-State. Everybody talked about Jury, and Jury deserved all that credit with the points. But let me tell you, Robin was right behind her on points scored. Mm-hmm. And they had some knockdown dragouts, and they would fill up the gym. I'm telling you, boys and girls, when it was at the field house or wherever it was played, you can count if Sheldon Clark, Allen Central, or McDowell, or Belfry, or Betsy Lane, even with Murray Stumbo, and God bless Murray, she's passed. She left us too early. They had Pam Clark. Our girls basketball in the day, you guys, believe it or not, go Google it, kids. our region and girls, they were ranked. Not ranked in region, they were ranked in the state. Yeah. What's happened? We got to get that back. But looking at Robin, she's a legacy in herself, and one of the girls' regional teams that went out and searched for solid competition during the regular season. Speaking of last year's squad, early on they defeated Casey County, which is a strong girls program down in the 8th region, in the Lisa Collins Classic. And for those basketball fans, Lisa Collins played at North Laurel County and went on to play a career at University of Kentucky. And then they went, Martin County went to play in the Lexington Catholic prestigious pre-Christmas tournament. Cassandra Akers back in the day took her Betcha Lane teams.
Great teams back
Great
then.
teams. And then they took a group to Florida over the Christmas break. Sheldon Clark came back and won the All-A Classic, upsetting tournament favorite Pikeville in the semis. And as we mentioned earlier, had to hold off a gritty Betcha Lane squad to win 41-40. And they bowed out in the first round to Critton County in the All-A of the opening round. And just a good record, 16-10. But if you look at the competition, they were a lot better than the record they represented. They were 11-5 in the region. And get this, they were 3-4 in district play. So that just reflects how tough that 57th district was. Postseason for the Lady Cards, their first round loss to Paintsville, 59-62. They held off Pike Central, 66-61, and then Pikeville ran away with a 47-28 win to close out the season. Notable accomplishments, guys. They had good teams, and Robin has continued to build that on a steady thing.
Yeah. And last year was one of the better teams they've had the last couple of years. They just have the misfortune of running into Pikeville, I feel like, every year in the regional tournament. And Pikeville just the last decade have been head and shoulders above everybody else, I feel like. And you can have a really good team. They had a really good team a couple of years ago and I think lost by 40 or 50 points. And it's the draw has not been kind to Martin County the last couple of years.
Well said. Well said. Let me tell you, here's a kid that's going to be on the radar. It will be sophomore Macy Maynard. She brings in her 12-point average. And guys, correct me on this, but is Brooklyn Markham still at Martin County or is she at Lawrence County? Because I've seen that,
it seemed like she may have transferred.
Some of the chatter was that, hey, they left. But with that said, senior Chloe May should kind of up her 9-point average. And if she can release some pressure, like you mentioned, Josh, about Chloe Case over at Floyd Central, if Chloe and Coach Harmon can reach another kid that can attack the perimeter from the long-distance shot, that opens up a lot for the Markham girl. But let me tell you, Markham, she shot well from the three-point line, and she's a big old girl. She's a tough matchup for anybody in the region. So, Coach Newsom, 548 wins against 249 losses.
Oh.
So
that is impressive.
Her and her staff are continuing to be in the hunt for the district and regional title each year. And like I said, that what was going to be a three-pronged attack with Markham, May, and Maynard, Markham might have went to to Lawrence County, And so, you look for Sophie Harris to become a presence on the perimeter and hope she gains some confidence as the season goes along. But looking at the schedule, they open up next Tuesday night hosting Shelby Valley and then Betcha Lane early on. So that should be a good game. But to see how Corey Tacker's Betcha Lane squad is holding up against a good Martin County team. They pretty much go out of the region, competing again in the Lisa Collins Classic and the Corbin Turner. They play Knox Central, who a team we will see in the WYMT playing Floyd Central. Key points, I think everyone is going to be chasing JC, yet Maynard is going to be a tough matchup. And if May, like I said, can be consistent from behind the arc, it could be a Final Four team. And you get in that Final Four round, guys, of regional play, it's anybody's game.
Anything can happen. And just to update you on that, Markham looks like she, per KHSAA, is still on the Martin County roster, so she is still there.
Boy, I'd say, Coach, she's going to give her some of that NIL money. So that Giovanni's over there at Inez coming at you, Brooklyn. So, Steve, you got Paintsville here, and we'll keep moving on.
Yeah, so I was able to talk with Coach Dawn Kenner a couple weeks ago, and she enters her second season at the helm for the Lady Tigers. And we talk about records and numbers, and that really doesn't spotlight how successful the team was. They finished with an 11-20 record in her first season, but Paintsville played their best basketball when it mattered most. You just previously mentioned the upset of Martin County in the first round of the 57th district, and they nearly upset Johnson Central in the championship over at McGoffin last year. And then they were able to defeat a very good Betsy Lane team last season, and what a lot of people would still consider an upset in the play-in to advance to the 15th region tournament. And they were actually just about kept that run going as they lost to Lawrence County, eventual runner-up in the quarterfinal round, 67-64. Speaking with Coach Kenner, she did say that her team is young, but these players that played pivotal roles in late last season's surge will be looked upon to contribute a lot more this season. And then all that done for them last season was they gained valuable experience, valuable repetitions out there on the court in meaningful basketball. So, and of course, that was led by Kylie Kenner, who was an all-state selection last season, and they returned all but one starter. So, and she's only a junior. So.
Kylie going to be clipping the 2,000 mark, you guys.
Yeah, she has to be getting close, and of course, she's a great volleyball player as well.
Yeah, basketball's her second sport.
Yeah, basketball is her second sport.
It has to be. Mom's volleyball.
Yeah, so she is a great volleyball player, and only a junior, and just some other key players coming back. They only had one senior on the roster. So, and they're still going to return everybody next season also. Annabelle Blankenship, another key player that was big in their late season surge. Brooklyn Skaggs, McKinley Ramey, and Addison Helton, Kate Loffer, and Kendall Short, all valuable minutes last year as 8th graders. So now they're freshmen getting developed into that system down there. And they do have it home and home against Ashland, who is the defending 16th region champs. And then Hazard in the WYMT. So just right off the bat, they do play at Ashland December 4th and back at Paintsville on February the 10th. And then, of course, the district games. You know, that's going to be a tough out, no matter who you have. And so the outlook for them, everything's going to revolve around Kenner. Great experience last season for the younger players, like I said, stepping out during postseason play. Expecting big things from those players with a year under their belt this season. So I think Paintsville, they may not be at that level that Johnson Central or Martin County is right now, but I think they could be a team that nobody will want to play come postseason.
Totally agree with you. Guys, I tell you what, let's step out and let's take a break, and we'll take a 2-minute break, Josh, or 1 minute,
Sure.
whatever the commercial is, and we will come back and cover the 58th District girls, and we'll see you here shortly. You're listening. Welcome back, everyone, and to the WMDJ preseason show. And, we've got a lot of material, and thank goodness that we do. And we're going to look at our 58th district teams. And then after the 58th district, we're going to just kind of give you who is the 59th and 60th favorites, because we're excited to get to the boys team. And we know we're running a little bit late on time, and we want to keep our viewers up. If you're up and you're getting ready to share some family time, reach out to a friend. Tell them, hey, look at WMDJ preseason show. So it's my shot at Betsy Lane, and Coach Corey Thacker is entering his 4th season, and Coach Thacker's 40-45, coming off a successful 17-10 season. And he's brought some excitement back to this Lady Bobcat traditional program after spending a couple of seasons. Junior guard Shayla Kidd has returned, and that's a reflection of Coach Thacker's excitement. And last season they were 17-10. Postseason they lost to Paintsville 44-45 in the regionals after defeating Belfry 55-41. And notable accomplishments, as we mentioned earlier, after a tough loss in the All-A championship game to Martin County 40-41, which was an emotional loss for the Lady Bobcat team. Coach Thacker's squad responded with the next night defeating Letcher Central and went on to win the last 10 of the 13 games, including winning 9 of 10. Statistic leaders lost was Lacey Hall and Carly Williams. Carly closed out also a terrific track career, and we wish her the best upcoming. And returning stat leaders, boy, you got to consider Shayla Kidd, Jada Pente, and Kenley Martin. That is a three-prong attack, guys, from the perimeter.
Yeah, especially Pente and Kidd. Pente, I will argue, is vastly underrated.
She is.
I mean, region-wide, I don't think she gets the credit she deserves.
Got to see her play
That's
a few
unanimous.
times last year. I will agree with that. She is very steady hand with the basketball, especially at that point guard position. I will agree, very, very underrated.
And I think overall in the overview, I think Coach Thacker may agree. I hope he does. But, you look at those three guards and some veteran experience. Kidd got some experience from Pikeville playing, and reflectively from last year's stats, they are a good shooting team, 65%. So
Yeah.
Key players moving up could be Maddie Collins, Jaden Jarrell, and Amari Anderson. And from there, I think Coach Thacker is going to try to stay with his style of play. And they've been good in the tournaments at each season Coach Thacker's had.
Yeah, you kind of just get incremental improvements year to year. And, they felt like they could have done something last year and just kind of fell 1 point short to Paintsville, like you said. But they're excited. I think health is going to be a big thing for them. But if they can all stay healthy, I think they expect a lot over there at Betsy Lane.
And last thing about this Betsy Lane, boy, you want to talk about a traditional winning program. Betsy Lane, it's Cassandra and Bill Newsom back in the day, and, boy, the players that have came out of there. So we're running a little bit short on time, everyone, but we'll definitely continue with the 58th District Capsule here.
Betsy Lane was the last Floyd County team to play in a region championship game. 2011.
Yeah.
Betsy Lane. Lost to Sheldon Clark.
Those
and Carla
03,
Booth.
those
Great
03, 04, and 05 teams were pretty good. And let me tell you, as a coach, I can attest to that. Gosh darn you, Cassandra.
Floyd Central, anytime there's a coaching change, there's always excitement. But I think with Floyd Central, it's a little bit different because you're bringing back a guy in Justin Triplett who has had a ton of success at the school at the program he's taken over. Tyler Little, named last year's Region Coach of the Year. And, he kind of accepted the new administrative role as kind of assistant athletic director. So it wasn't like people were unhappy with his performance or anything like that. He just kind of moved up a little bit, moved up the ladder. But you bring back a coach and Triplett who has won 120 games with the Floyd Central program alone. That's not counting the success he had there later at South Floyd before it consolidated. But you lose one player in Hannah Lafferty, who was coming back last year after missing her entire junior season. So her production wasn't what she wanted it to be or maybe even expected it to be. 5 points, 3.5 rebounds. You've got everybody else back, and there's a lot of pieces to that. We mentioned Chloe Crace, leading point getter and rebounder from coming back is sophomore Reagan Lafferty, 14.5 points, 8 rebounds. Maddie Engel, sophomore, 14 points a game. Crace, the second leading rebounder coming back at the guard position, 5 rebounds a game. And they, bring Triplett back in with that defense first style, that run and gun, get after it. They're going to play an exciting brand of basketball. Now, if the shots aren't falling, it could be an ugly brand of basketball. But they're at least going to try to make it fast-paced, entertaining, exciting. And like I mentioned, he's had a lot of success with that program already, and he knows the girls. He didn't completely leave. He was an assistant with the boys, but they're going to be tested right off the bat. They've got Paintsville to open up the season next week, then a district game at Prestonsburg, and then they go to the Mountain Classic at Knott County against KNOX. So they'll be tested. They missed 20 wins by one game last year, but they were already excited. And I think having a familiar face come back in triplet's going to kind of amplify the excitement a little bit. And my prediction was a Floyd County team will play in the region championship game this year. And we just talked about two of them. And Steve's got the third one here in a minute in Prestonsburg. But I really like what this county and this district has in terms of girls basketball. I really, really do.
I think before we get to you, Steve, quickly here, I think the quality of play also is going to be raised in the 58.
Yeah.
And that's going to make it even more exciting.
And we'll go ahead and move on to the Lawrence County Lady Bulldogs. And, of course, they're coached by Melinda Feltner. And they lose 3 starters, but she does still return a good core that won the 58th District Championship last year over Prestonsburg in a thrilling game, if you weren't there. Of course, that is led by sophomore Jada Patton. Lawrence County will have to replace do-it-all player. I mean, she was done everything, literally. 24-point-per-game scorer in Sophie Atkins. And they did defeat Prestonsburg in the 58th District Championship and lost in the 15th Region Championship to Johnson Central. And looking at their roster, I mean, Jada Patton really came on strong toward the end of the season and played great for the Lady Bulldogs. And she's going to be kind of have that Sophie Atkins role now, kind of turn it into a do-it-all player only as a sophomore. But even as a freshman, Josh and Mark, she averaged 16 points and 6 rebounds per game. So they still have a lot of production coming back. So, they always play a very tough, aggressive style, especially on the defensive side. And they are great at crashing the boards. That's one thing they've been great at over the years. And, nothing's going to change with Coach Feltner.
She's done a great job because she's had to replace not only Sophie, but I think a couple of years ago she had to replace another kid that was a pretty decent player that had the same genetics. So I keep asking Coach Feltner all the time, and Kevin Spurlock has chimed in with this. I keep asking Coach Feltner, is she still sending Christmas cards to the 58th District boys girls coaches? And that's kind of across the landscape for Lawrence County because since they've been in the 58 guys, look, they've won the last 4 out of 5 regional tournaments. Yeah. And so good luck to Coach Feltner. She's always going to have a strong team. And Steve's going to look at Coach Brandon Kidd's Prestonsburg squad, who I know a lot of those girls from having them at Adams. And let me tell you, little Whitney Howard, don't sleep on this little freshman.
Real quick, I'm sorry. You've got Justin Triplett at Floyd Central and Melinda Feltner at Lawrence County. Those are number 4 and number 5 all time in 58th District wins for girls basketball.
Wow.
Feltner still has 20 to catch up with Triplett, so you can have that on her Triplett. But Triplett 177 career wins. Feltner only since joining the 58th District in 2017, 157 wins. That's number 4, number 5. That's not bad.
I'm here to tell you, I'm not going to Google ever again.
You got a personal Google website.
I'm just saying this, everyone. I'm saying this right now. I won't spend hours on Google. I'm just say, Josh, I need this for the show. Okay, get it from the text. I'm telling you, guys, we didn't get him on Jeopardy to just have one sports category.
I love Jeopardy.
Me too.
You remember the sports Jeopardy back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Steve, Prestonsburg, they've got a good group coming back. A couple of seniors with Allison Howard and Jade. We mentioned about soccer, and it's going to be a wide open district, guys.
Yeah, it is, and Coach Brandon Kidd, I spoke with him. It's been about a month ago now, but he enters his 9th season as Prestonsburg Lady Black Cats head coach, and he's got a record of 109 wins, 101 losses. And he did win one 58th District championship, and he's coming off back-to-back 15th Region semifinal appearances. And they did finish with a record of 19-14, lost to Lawrence in the district tournament last year in the championship. And they did lose in the region semis to eventual champion Johnson Central. And speaking with Coach Kidd, his expectations, as always, are high for his team and expect to compete at a high level, especially, and we've talked about it already, being in a very competitive 58th district that he claims, and I would have to agree that is the toughest district in this region by far. And Coach, you mentioned Allison Howard and Jade Fitzpatrick coming back, but you got to look at the supporting cast as well. Coming back for the Lady Black Cats, Amelia Newsom, a junior who contributed very well off the bench, and even some starts as well for the Lady Black Cats. Sierra Sloan, a senior, coming back, kind of in that bench row as well. She's going to be looked upon to contribute as well. Lakin Stevens, sophomore, Addie Wright, and John Award, and some also a couple of transfers as well. Shay Music was a combo guard that transferred coming in, and Kendra Runyon, a post player as well. And then, of course, talking about notable games, they go up against a tough Morgan County team in their home opener from the 16th region. And, of course, they will host Pikeville at home. And they're in the LCA Holiday Classic over the holiday period. And then, of course, all the district games. So
let me add to a couple of things if I could, guys. Yeah. Addie Wright, she has to play well. You know, I mean, that's in her genes, and if she doesn't,
no doubt. Yeah.
I've heard if she doesn't play well, they'll make her sleep outside. I don't know. We'll have to ask Mr. Allen that. But Addie, she's an all-around player. She just came out of volleyball, and she's doing a little bit of archery. And another kid, Sierra Sloan, she's had some health issues during her time at playing there. And again, you look at. It's a group that if they come together and they have good chemistry, Jonna Ward, a freshman, I look for Jonna to have a little bit of playing time. But I like this team. I like the makeup. You've got some big presence inside with Amelia, Addie, and Sierra. And you've got a good perimeter attack in the Howard sisters. And also, you look at Stevens' girl, Lakin. She's came off the bench last year and played big for Coach Kidd in the postseason. So she's got a lot of confidence coming in, and Coach wishes them all good luck. They're great kids like everyone else's are.
Yeah, so just basically the outlook for Prestonsburg, just great guard play with the returning players they have, and the key role players that contributed are expected to take a huge leap. And the incoming transfers, that are going to be play a pivotal role, and getting the young players valuable experience as well. So, and again, and Josh, I'll piggyback on your hot take there with the Floyd County team playing for the regional championship. I mean, honestly,
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, but you have three. It's not just one or two. You have three. All three teams in this county are legitimate contenders to play for the regional championship.
And that helps us out economically because look at the Prestonsburg football team. Man, look how much money they made for the city of Prestonsburg. When the football team wins, everybody goes after the game and eats at the restaurant. So moving over to the 60th district, and, Pikeville again is going to be the favorite. Coach Denise Campbell in her second season. She's got a good, strong guard play. She lost Leanne Jackson, but expect Pikeville to come away again. Shelby Valley, we want to wish Coach John Mead good luck, and I think if John's given time, he'll rally the program and make them, that's another traditional program that has title after title after title, and every time you look, there's a row. And I
no
love
matter
them.
where you live.
I love them, but I don't like them. So that's for the 60th district. And over in the 60th, as Josh mentioned, Belfry winning their first, as far as we can find, it's their first district title.
Phelps?
Not Phelps. For Phelps.
Yeah.
Pike Central is going to be there. I'm anxious to see how Coach Thornsbury plays with Belfry. Pike Central has veteran coach Bobby Spears, and he's got a young group. And so overlooking at the 15th Region Girls landscape, anticipate another all-A exciting tournament, a good 2A tournament, and also a good 15th Region postseason in the Super Region. So, guys, about ready to close it up. Closing comments on the girls' side of things.
I think it'll be very competitive, and we kind of broke it down by district and all that, but you look at the 57th and 58th. Those are by far the two most competitive districts. They usually are year after year, and no disrespect to the 59th or 60th, but you only got three teams in each of those. But, usually it's going to be one of those teams from the 57th. Or, of course, Pikeville has dominated as well over the last 7 or 8 years. But now that Pikeville has kind of went down a little bit, I think it's really going to be wide open.
Josh?
If you want to be technical,
2009.
Phelps won the district championship in 2009, but they had that combined super district between the 59th and 60th.
Yeah.
So it went down as a 59th district championship. So
Was that when JR was coach?
that was when JR
Yeah.
was coach.
Okay.
Had,
That's what I thought. Yeah.
had Marissa Pruitt.
We
called that. I
we
remember
did.
that. They
Yeah.
that was a really good
They
team.
ran into Philip Wireman and John.
That was
Central.
that
Great
was
team.
that was a prime example of the NIL before being the NIL. That's just it, fellas. It's just called business is business. I love JR, but JR, my gosh,
I like you, JR. That was Mark that said that.
Yeah, I'm not Mark, so
business is business, fellas. Business is business. Hey,
I got a signed copy of JR's Painesville basketball history book.
I need to get my hands on one of those.
That honestly, if we're being honest, that book, and this is a sidetrack, I know. That
okay.
book really kind of spurred me to have all of the stuff that I have organized and put together.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest, because and you've got a lot of stuff with Allen Central, but I was like, you know what, I may never use any of this stuff, but I just think it's cool to keep and just throw out random tidbits of, I don't know.
I had to beat you over the head to just agree to do it, just to share it. I'm like, bud, it's going to sit like an old book in the closet. Bring it out and share with it.
The last time Phelps boys won a region tournament game was the '88 region final before last year. And that's a little foreshadowing. See how I did that?
Yeah, it's nice. I see.
Let's jump quickly into the boys' side of things.
Nice segue.
And you guys looking at the 57th. Steve, who's going first?
I've got JC.
I've got paint, so I need to get it pulled up here. So,
boy, that's you want to talk about and you guys. I know we're running a little bit over time, but we're going to try to
we
give
have
you the
so
vital.
much stuff to share, is what it is.
It's and people need to know this.
I'll make my Johnson Central preview really quick. They're going to be really good. No,
wow, way to go out on the limb.
I didn't say it was a hot take. No, Johnson Central. Last year they were 15-11, and that's not a Tommy McKenzie record. His record seems to be a lot more losses than a lot more wins and fewer losses. But they were relatively young last year. They only lost one player in Dawson Montgomery, who 5 points, 4 rebounds, wasn't one of the top contributors in terms of statistical production. But they've got a couple of juniors who are as good of a duo as there is this side of Lexington. Austin Sloan and Braden Shepard.
Not my son, Austin Sloan, but the other Austin
Each
Sloan.
averaging 25 and 22 points respectively. You've got Mason McKenzie, the sharpshooter, averaging about 9.5. His role, I'm assuming, is going to be a little bit more this year. Throw in Kyle Rose, and that's a foursome that is going to be expected to really take the next step. They missed out on the region tournament last year. They got to the district championship game, but they lost to Martin County, and they lost at home in that second round, play-in round, to Lawrence County. What a tough draw to play at home if you're a district runner-up. They lost 94-82, and that's that's it. Listen, that's just not the Central standard to not make it to the quarterfinals of the region, and they ended the year last year. They won 7 straight games after coming back from Lexington Catholic before losing their final 2 regular season games, 101-89 to Martin County and 97-86 to Pineville. But this is a team that can score the basketball. I think the big thing is going to be, can they get enough stops? Can they get enough rebounds? Because they are going to score, and they're going to be – I expect this team to be really, really good. We saw Sloan 2 years ago. Season opener at Betsy Lane. They're like, hey, listen, they've got a kid.
Yeah.
He's their next big thing. And has done everything to live up to it.
It didn't take long to figure out who it was either.
No. They're still relatively young, but they are guys that have played a lot of basketball, extremely talented. They're going to have shooters. And, Sloan averages 7.5 rebounds a game at the guard position. He gets after it. And Shepard is as streaky of a shooter as they come.
You can light it up.
And McKenzie's a coach's kid, and they're going to get back to that prototypical Johnson Central basketball this year. I firmly believe.
It's the thing I like about Sloan, and I know it's kind of hip now in the terminology of coaching, but, we used to just call it that's what you're supposed to do. But now, if you play a little bit of defense, you're described as a two-way player. And and look, guys, don't get on to me. I know I'm old school, but doing what is right is not old school.
When you have a guard averaging 25 points a game, they're usually not going to average close to 8 rebounds.
They're afraid to come inside the circle most of the time.
But of that duo, Shepard's the more pure shooter, if there was one, and Sloan's just to get to the basket, beat you off the dribble, pull up from 10 feet. And beat you.
He's got a weird looking release on his shot.
It works,
but it's a very effective. He gets to the line a lot. Of course, that talks about his ability to get to the basket. But he is definitely now that he's a junior, considered an upperclassman. He has turned into one of the best players in the region,
without question.
Steve, you've got Magoffin County, and you've got a guy that I've learned to kind of enjoy watching coach, and that is Coach Scott Castle.
Mm-hmm.
He took over from Pup Miller back in the day, and he had a good daughter that went on to the little Castle girl. I don't remember her first name. Jamie went on, had a heck of a career at U-Pike, and I'll say this: watching his actions in the game as far as strategy, Coach Castle he's always trying to keep one step ahead of you. Yeah. And I've seen it from reflection of sitting at courtside, broadcasting with it, and so he does a great job. And let me tell you, he's got a kid, Walker Russell, everybody. Let me tell you, you talking about a guy that plays both ways. I saw this kid in 8th grade, and let me tell you, he was going to be good even in 8th grade. You saw that kid had the word it.
Yeah. But that's all they got. Despite they won it 2 years ago. They had an incredible roster even with Russell as a sophomore. But it was a long season last season for Coach Castle and his squad. Having a young roster around star player Walker Russell, the Hornets were only able to win 7 games. And Magoffin did lose to Phelps last season in the play-in round of the Super Region. And they do return, of course, Walker Russell, Parker Bowling, and Tate Hall, who is also a senior as well. And some notable games, of course, every game in the 57th. And then December 19th, they play Adair County, the defending 5th Region champions, who actually got lost to Bowling Green in overtime last year in the state tournament. Walker Russell returning, he's averaging around 26 points, 9 rebounds a game, pretty close to a double-double. And then Parker Bowling and Tate Little averaging around 9 and 8 points respectively. So, obviously, it kind of puts you in mind of Paintsville girls. Everything's going to revolve around Kenner offensively and pretty much everything else. Same thing for Magoffin with Russell, but do they have enough of a supporting cast to make another run at Rupp? That's going to be the question.
In that, we've said it once, and we've said it 100 times, and guess what? We're going to say it again. In that grinding 57th district term. But the thing I liked about Coach Castle's, you can win 7 games, and you go out of that coaching mentality at season, man, I couldn't wait to get this over. But, I had a team at Allen Central. We were not very good, but the thing that I'm getting to is, even though Magoffin County won 7 games, if you went and watched Coach Castle's teams play, they were playing hard.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you didn't know the score,
I agree.
If you didn't look up at the score, you'd say, wow, this team may be ahead or 2 points. So good job on Magoffin County, and good luck to Coach Castle surviving.
Yeah, and I will agree with that, Mark, and I'll kind of piggyback on that one as well. But even when Danny Adams was coach and the history they've had, even if they had down years, man, it was always a tough out to go over there and play. It doesn't matter if it was, especially on the road, but they were always competed over there. It's always a very physical contest when you play against Magoffin County. And I assume nothing will change whether or not they have success or not, but it's going to be that'll always be a tough out.
I got Martin County. Boy, oh boy. Get ready, fellas.
They're going to be good next team.
Here we go.
Coach Jason James, man, 11 seasons, overall record, 171, 137. His first couple of years were rough there.
Yeah, that record's deceiving a little bit.
Yes, 2 regional titles. Well, they got that bridge built over there to go towards West Virginia.
Again,
that's me, man.
That was Mark.
Create those clicks, Coach. 2 regional titles, 5 57 district titles, 2 All-A regional titles, and last season 21-9, lost to Lawrence, 84-97 in the championship game, and starters loss was Parker Watts, 28 points per game. And, as a coach, when you lose a player like Watts and you look back at the other kids that they lost, you think, man, this next year is going to be a tough year. Then all of a sudden,
Reload.
let me tell you, the kid shows up at your gym. The kid. And let me tell you, when Braxton Keithley shows up, you've just became a Hall of Fame coach.
People tend to notice.
People need to notice. And let me say
Pay
this.
a little more attention.
Let me finish. Braxton, just a junior, coming into his junior year, 34 points per game, 52 of 164 for 32%. I think he's definitely improved that through his summer workouts. He's 248 for 269. If you look at those stats, guys, go look at it collectively as a team. This kid goes downhill all the time.
Yeah.
And 10 rebounds per game. And, boy, what stats did he have in that last regional tournament for Prestonsburg?
Oh, gosh.
34 points and 32 rebounds?
Oh, yeah.
The kid does not take plays off.
No.
And I'm not yes, I'm praising Braxton right now, but let me tell you this, everyone, Braxton deserves it. The kid's work ethic, and I'm going to throw two names out to you. Remind me, and I've been back home since 1994, the two kids that I think that I've seen the work ethic, one is John Ortega from Prestonsburg. Go Google John Ortega. Josh will have his information already. And the other kid, I heard the Final Four MVP, Luke Hancock, played on the Louisville Cardinals team. He was asked what teammate in his time at Louisville was the hardest working teammate. He said the Rocket. Elisha Justice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you associate Braxton with those two, I think the future is going to be pretty good for Braxton. But here's the thing I like about Brax. He's wiser. Go look at his workouts and look who he's working out with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second, he can go and get and take any spot on that floor that he wants. He's not looking at the guy guarding him. He's looking over that guy that's guarding him, and he's looking at the guy that's going to rotate. And let me say the last thing on this. You can't speed the kid up. You can't push him to get out to where sometimes you get some pressure on a kid and they'll go in that speed dribble and they're getting out of control, so the decision making is real quick.
Yep.
Kid throws it over the board, the kid throws it out of bounds. Braxton, he's cool, collective, and let me tell you, not everyone, but I'm hearing a lot of jibber jabber about the backlash. Well, he's going to do the same what he did to Prestonsburg, but let me tell you, if you want to win Martin County, you better accept this kid. And what I've seen in the scrimmage game at Johnson Central,
Yep.
whoa. You got Bryson Dials, the sharpshooter, sitting to your left. You got Big Devin Maynard going down underneath, and anytime you want him, come up here, big guy. Let me play 2-on-2 with you. Let me tell you, the recipe for success for Martin County, I'm behind them. I think they're going to be there when all the smoke clears. And since that's pretty much saying it. Looking at the schedule quickly, we get to see them next week as Floyd Central makes the trip east on Route 3. They play in the prestigious Lexington Sayer tournament in Lexington. It's a young tournament, but it's a well-ran tournament. They play in the Pikeville Invitational, and they play a team called Ashland. We know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a competitive schedule, and hats off, and I hope Martin County comes together because this could be a special year and a special team if everything comes together.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that, and of course the success they've had the last couple of years. You look at with being able to bring in Parker Watts last year, and I think a lot of people pegged them as the favorite to win, and a lot of people were definitely surprised when Lawrence County did defeat them in the regional championship last year. But you lost quite a bit with Peyton Davis as well, graduating with Watts, but you return Bryson Dials, who's only a sophomore, Maynard, who is just an incredible athlete, especially on the football field as well. But you throw in the wrinkle of adding Keithley to this, and maybe he's a guy that's going to go get you a bucket when you need it, and he can get it, like you said, Mark, in a variety of ways.
He can get that spot
anywhere he wants. So, and I think that's just a great addition, and Martin County's going to be right there at the end like they always are.
2 All-A titles and 2 regional titles, and I think Coach James could be looking for another regional crown. And, Josh, you've got moving on to the –
One thing on Martin County, and this is just a little tidbit. They beat Lawrence County, you mentioned, 97-84 in the 15th region title game. That is the second highest scoring region championship game ever.
Ever.
The only one that scored more total points was 1956.
Gosh.
Wayland and Pikeville. Kelly Coleman and
Howard Lockhart.
Howard Lockhart. Yep.
Gosh.
96-90.
Wow.
Beat it by just a couple points.
Wow. That's great numbers, Josh. And that's what we're giving you. And I know, we're still kind of carrying, and this is our first time together, and we were all just kind of said, look, let's dig up some stuff and let people kind of say, wow, I did not know that. And that way, if you hear something, you can go ahead and share it. And, so moving on, and where we go from here, guys, is to the 58.
Paintsville.
So I got Paintsville in the 57th.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Coach
This
Landon.
one's a little personal for me, I guess.
Coach Landon.
But expectations, of course, always high at Paintsville. Nothing different for Coach Sloan as he enters now his 10th season as coach. With and you mentioned Johnson Central earlier. Josh, Paintsville has a incredible core coming back, all juniors. I mean, literally probably the biggest junior class in the 15th region. Plus, they added some great additions via transfer as well. And, you mentioned Martin County. You mentioned Johnson Central and Paintsville. Just in this district alone, they're going to be projected as one of the early favorites to win this whole tournament. Last season ended in disappointed as they lost in the first round of the 15th region to host Pike Central, and they did finish with a 19-9 record. So they return everybody pretty much. They lost one starter in Jace Kenner, but they return everybody else. You got Ethan Cole, Brock Woods, Anderson Lawfer, Parker Helton, and Colton Short, all juniors. And then they did get a transfer in Graham Schutz from Prestonsburg, who I think as an 8th grader last year for the Black Cats really came along as the season progressed and turned into a big-time player for them down the stretch when they, made that great run into the district tournament. And they also got a foreign exchange student transfer. JoJo, I don't know. His last name may be a little dicey here. Skaral. It's Skaral. He is a junior.
Sounds good to me.
Yep. And then they also got a transfer from Johnson Central, Andrew Meeks, and a transfer from Whitley County, Tucker Hale. All three of those guys, juniors. So,
Of course.
yeah. And, I mean, you look at this schedule right here, guys. They start right off with Ashland Blazer, right off the bat. And then you go to Hazard. You play Hazard in the YMT. And then they are in the is it the White Greer and Maggard tournament, holiday tournament at Lexington Catholic, or
Yeah.
I still call it the Fifth Third from years ago.
Traditional bank.
Yeah, I call it Fifth Third. And, of course, 57th District, that's maybe the toughest district in the state. But you return everything. You return Ethan Cole, 20-point-per-game scorer, and then Brock Woods and Anderson Lawfer, both around 13 a game. Then Parker Helton averaging 6. And then Brock Woods averaging a double-double with 13 and 10. Ethan Cole around 6. So you surround this core that Paintsville returns with the additions they have with the transfers. And, obviously me and Landon are cousins, so we talk a lot. And that's one thing I told him a while back. This is going to be one thing you haven't had maybe in your whole coaching tenure is depth. And I think when you have the size you have with Cole and Woods and you surround it with the great guard play with Lawfer, and then you can bring in a guy like Schutz off the bench who can stretch the floor, I mean, this team is looking for not just a regional tournament appearance. They're looking to get back to Rupp.
And you say the size of Cole. He's got the ability of a guard. I
Yes,
mean, he just took that growth spurt,
Yeah.
but his skill set never changed. It's just his physicality did.
Yeah.
And he's just one of those just dudes that can just almost do whatever he wants to do, whether it's beat and bang on the block or pull up from the wing.
And one of his big abilities last season was driving baseline. And, he could drive the baseline. And like you said, with his size, but just his elusiveness and quickness, he could get by either way. And just it was tough for the defender to try to stop him. And then you throw it down low to Brock Woods, who can also step out and shoot a jumper. So, I mean, they've got the perfect formula right now to get back to Rupp.
Well, I think what Landon's done is he's started to play a positionless system. Back in the day, hey, you're the big, you got to go down there. And these days, sometimes if you've got someone like the Mason Maynard over at Martin County, you're going to establish your offense with her underneath.
Yeah.
But the thing I've seen this 8th grade group, when I coached against them, we had a good 7th grade group at Adams. Our 8th grade played hard against them, but you could see that the Cole and the Woods at that time was just limited. And I think what the good job Landon has done, he's switched to this positionless position. And again, it's going to be a great time to watch the 57th district along with the 15th region. So that's the 57th district, and we will go to the 58th district, and I get to talk about Betsy Lane and Coach Mike Howard, who's entering his third season. Mike is 36-28. Last season's 58th district champions, and they defeated Prestonsburg in a heated battle over.
That was a decent game, I think.
Greatest district championship game we've ever seen. I mean,
I'll go so far as it's one of the top 3 games I've ever witnessed live in person.
Well, I mean, it was the first ever 4 overtime game.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable.
Coach Howard loses senior guard Cameron Pentes 20 points and 85% from the free throw line, along with season 41 threes. Carter Parsons took his 18 points to Pikeville. 2 of the leading scorers, and both played hard. But the cup isn't bare I think for Coach Howard. You've got junior guard Braden Hall, who, you want to talk about a kid that can really hurt you quickly from behind the arc, as this is the junior. He will bring his 15 points per game, and we'll probably carry a little bit more load on the offensive side and the threat from beyond the arc. And then senior Isaiah Allen, he's going to bring an athleticism and anticipate good seasons from senior Ethan Lawrence, sophomore Canyon Sloan. I think a kid that doesn't get, like you said, Josh, he's one of those kids that gets under. He's just real steady, real stable, and just plays with the heart of gold. And freshman Eli Gerald, so Coach Howard, I think one thing that's going to bother him a little bit is maybe the depth. But overall, schedule-wise, the Bobcats open up the season traveling to Phelps, and they've got a key district matchup on Friday, December 5th, as they make the US 23 trip north to Lawrence County and to snap last season's 2 losses to the Bulldogs. Pretty much then they stay regionally until they face Hazard at Belfry in the Raymond Classic, Justice Classic. And, Coach Howard, he expects. He's a demanding coach, and I think Isaiah Allen could have a come-out season. I think throughout his career he's kind of been hidden behind Carter Parsons' achievements. Nothing against Carter, but sometimes when you lose that alpha male, you got, as a coach, got to look and say who could come in and do that. And I think senior Isaiah Allen, first, he has the experience, and he's got that demeanor that could carry a leadership role. And when you have sophomores Canyon Sloan and senior Ethan Lance could be that X factor too. So expect Betsy Lane to be in the hunt for the 58th district, and we want to wish the Bobcats the best of luck.
Yeah, I think that, when you talk about Isaiah Allen, he's definitely going to be looked upon as the go-to guy, as a leader for this team upcoming, and especially with Carter Parsons transferring, so he's no longer there. But so that's going to be one of the key players to try to instill some leadership into the younger guys and see if they can make some more noise come March.
That's what I just said.
Okay. Well, I said it too.
You guys, I think Coach Spurlock is more off on me a little bit. Where you at, Coach?
He's on there now. He's with the bland.
I know where he's at. He's on that couch. He's snoring now.
Yeah, he's already out.
I was going to jump into Floyd Central.
You jump right in, bud.
Floyd Central, like the girls, welcoming in a new coach, but unlike the girls, a name that's kind of from outside the area, and Matthew Perry, longtime head coach at Morgan County, comes in with 364 career wins, a region championship, 7 district titles in the 16th region with Morgan. Spent the last 2 years at Bath County up there in Owingsville, and he inherited a team that brought everything back, every point, every rebound, every minute played. And then news broke last week that Wesley Buck was transferring to Pikeville. So that's a big, 14 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, just that athleticism, you're going to miss it. And it kind of came late in the offseason, obviously, with the season opening next week. But and not to take away from the loss that is, they've got some guys that it may be kind of a replace by committee kind of thing. Like the money ball, we're not replacing one guy, we're replacing the batting average, or we're replacing his on-base percentage. We're replacing 14 points a game with a collection of 3 or 4 guys kind of thing. Dylan Boyd returning a score of 14 points per game. Chris Spriggs, 13 points per game. And this is a team that's coming off a run last year to the region semis for the first time ever. They had never won a region tournament game before last year. They win a first 4 game over Belfry at Shelby Valley, 64-58. They have to go to Shelby Valley. They beat the Wildcats 73-67. They beat Betsy Lane in the quarterfinals, kind of getting them back from that district tournament loss. They beat them 63-56 and then lose to Martin County in the semifinals in an absolute shootout, 103-85, one of the highest scoring region tournament games ever in any round. And 12-19 is not a good record, but that they really kind of hit their groove and regrouped really quickly after that loss to Betsy Lane in the district. And Lucas Howard was named to the all-tournament team as a freshman, and that's a kid that, was really kind of getting his feet wet. He's a big body as an 8th grader playing varsity basketball, and that's hard to do, especially being that size. Had some really big highlights, but also there were times where it's like, okay, we can see that he's still in middle school. He's still kind of finding his way. But Howard, Spriggs, Boyd, I mentioned them. James Salmons, who can really do a little bit of everything in the middle, just like Ronnie. He kind of lives right there, that mid-range game, but he can also get to the basket. It gets after it on defense with his athleticism and his quickness. Jackson Johnson is going to have his role expanded a little bit. Christian Johnson, as well as also Braden Turner, sophomore transfer from Lee County, who's going to be expected to really contribute. So it's going to they've got their core pieces, and then you add in Turner to kind of help negate the loss from Buck. But it's a team that Matthew Perry is really, really excited about. He's been after him since day one, and he kind of told me that the one thing he really likes, and I want to get the quote right, is the character of the team. They show up, they work hard, they care about each other, and that's what he says the foundation of any successful season. If they stay committed to their identity, trust the process, lean on each other when adversity hits, I believe we'll not only compete, we'll build something lasting, so beyond 25-26. This season isn't just about chasing wins, it's about building a legacy, and I'm proud to go to battle with this team each and every single day. And to me, that was pretty deep. Obviously, he sees the group he has this year, but he's like, okay, you upperclassmen, we're going to do something this year, but then you're going to kind of leave your mark after you leave here. And listen, I think Dylan Boyd, Chris Spriggs, those two guys can have their names mentioned in that 15th Region Player of the Year conversation at the end of the year.
I think, Steve, and let's look at this, agree or disagree, but it's been there.
Oh, yeah.
It's been there.
Sure.
I competed against this team in junior high, and to come in and bring a coach like Coach Perry, and nothing against Alan Joe, did a good job with him. He had a good run there, but, Coach Perry is coming in, and like I said, it's there. And if the kids want to pull together, do what is right, they will have what they want, but it's not going to come easy.
No.
And I think that team, they have to establish a work ethic and say, look, times are going to be tough. Yeah. You bring in a coach that's won 300 games, let me tell you guys, the first thing he's going to do, he's going to up your expectations.
Yep.
Now, whether you like it or not, or you want to get your feelings hurt, you're going to get your feelings hurt. And it's going to be interesting to see how this group responds. I'm sure there's a lot of excitement first of the season. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I hope this group holds it together, because you're going to have those dog days of the season. After the All-A and right before the district, you're going to have those dog days. Yep. You're tired. Every team is tired, and the good teams grind through that. And I hope Floyd Central and Coach Perry have that type of year where they can grind through the tough times, because this group, if they catch fire, they've got the ability, guys, to put up points quickly.
We'll see you next Tuesday in Inez.
Yeah, hey, that's a good measuring stick.
Tuesday night.
That's a good measuring stick, though, to start off the season against a team like Martin County to see what you've got. And like you said, Mark, of course, offensively, you know what you're going to get. Defensively has been the question mark the last couple of seasons. So I know a few people have had a couple of conversations with Coach Perry, and include my dad, and he said that if they don't play defense, they're going to be sitting right beside me on the bench. So. And that's another thing. You know the old school mentality. It's accountability. You got to hold your guys accountable. If they're not doing it, either they're going to be right beside you, or going to say, "Hey, we got to work harder to get to what we're going to do."
I think, Steve, you hit when you put it's how do you put your priorities? You know, some coaches are offensive minded. Some coaches say, look, we're going to put an L, and guess what? Playing time is going to be determined by your defense.
Yeah.
Defense has to be the priority because really defense, if you look at all the good programs, if you look at all the good teams running styles, they play a lot of open court. Well, how do they get in open court? By their defense, guys.
Yeah.
They don't say, well, we're going to run and shoot. We're going to run and shoot. They rely on that nasty defense, seeing where the ball's going, get your kids out and open court. And let me tell you, Floyd Central has kids. If you get them in open court, let me tell you, Chris Briggs, he John Wall. Not John, but I'm just saying, giving kudos to him. And so let's hope they pull it together. And you know, I think the 58th, you know, you've got who Steve's going to talk about. It's going to be ahead of everyone else. But I'm telling you, Betsy Lane and Floyd Central is going to be right there behind them.
Yeah, I agree. And Brady Martin commenting saying Floyd Central will compete this year against anyone. And they have the talent to be able to compete with the teams we've already mentioned. I think they will, and I think that just they gotta buy into what Coach Perry is selling. So hopefully we'll see what they can do.
Steve, tell us a little about Chandler Thompson's Lawrence County Bulldogs. They've been like on the girls' side since they came into the 58th district. Boy, they've had Christmas every year.
Yeah, and Coach Thompson, class act, great guy to talk to. I spoke with him, and he's a great coach as well. Entering his 7th season, and expectations, of course, at an all-time high. After they are the defending 15th region champions after making an incredible run just to even get to the championship game. But you know they will have that target on their back, but they will be ready to defend their title and get back to Rupp. In his 6 years as head coach, Thompson does have a record of 123-65. 2 58th district championships and a 15th region championship just last season. And they did lose their leading scorer in Gunnar Woods. He transferred down the road to Boyd County, who is the favorites over in the 16th. But the Bulldogs returned everybody else from that roster, and they did add a transfer, I think it's from over in West Virginia. You talk about that bridge there, that little connector, but C.J. Waller.
That's just true, man.
So, but you return Caden Harris. Hayden Perry, who's a junior, he's been a starter since 8th grade. He's turned into a great player. Caden Johnson, Luke Featherhoff, Caden Muncie, and Isaiah Hughes. So, a great returning core from a team that already won a regional championship, and you add a great player in Waller as well. And you talk about some of the notable games. They play in a holiday tournament down at PRP, Pleasure Ridge Park. They play DuPont Manual, McCracken County, who is always one of the favorites to make it out west to the state tournament, and Archbishop Alter from Ohio. And then they also play in the Ashland Invitational, which has always been a historic tournament during the holidays. And then Belfry, I think we'll talk about Belfry a little later. I think they could be a sleeper in the 15th. And then, of course, they'll take on Paintsville in late February. And, I mean, you look at you return – I mean, Gunnar Woods is averaging almost 20 a game. That's a tough loss. Then Caden Harris was averaging 19, Hayden Perry 15, Caden Johnson 11, and Featherhoff was 6. But Featherhoff is more of a facilitator, contributor, you know, to his teammates, setting those guys up. So not very much of a fall-off scoring-wise for this team. So, you know, it's just the outlook for Lawrence County, I think, is just going to be with what they have coming back. You know, they've strengthened their schedule to have them ready for postseason play. So I think they'll be right there again at the end.
I feel like ever since Thompson has been there, they've always had 4 guys that can just score 25 on any given night. And it's just, which one do you want to allow to score 25 points tonight?
And they've been physically quicker and physically stronger and physically just faster.
Players graduate, players come up. It's wild because it's the exact same. You could put a jersey. It doesn't matter who's wearing the jersey. It's the exact same style every single year.
And here's the thing, though. They just have – this is only their second regional title. They just haven't been able to get over that hump until last season. And you get hot at the right time. That was a mixture of that as well. You know, we talked about the run they made in the Super Region to just get to the championship. But, you know, you got to give hats off to Coach Thompson and that staff for putting together great teams year after year.
You know, Josh and Steve, Jenny Buck, she just said what we've all kind of just already said. They're They're very consistent and they're ready every game. It goes back to, you look at their kids and look at their size, look at their arms, look at their shoulders. I mean, like I said, physicality, man, plays a lot in the game, especially today.
Yeah.
And so that's been our 58th district, and guys, it's going to be a
we got
timer.
Prestonsburg.
Prestonsburg, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Prestonsburg, I did talk to Coach Harold Tackett a couple of weeks ago. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed for sure. With Braxton Keithley leaving, going over to Martin County, we talked about that earlier, and then another player, key player that transferred out was Graham Schutz, who is now at Paintsville. So Coach was optimistic about what he had. You returned some key pieces in Ryan Reynolds and Tegan Sloan. And, Coach, I know you have a great relationship with him as well. And then also Waylon Butcher. So those are the only seniors on the team, that really contributed last year. But you take away a 35-point game scorer in Braxton Keithley, and then Graham Schutz with the ability he had last year. He came along big. And then you graduate two seniors in Caden Allen and Connor Napier, who were the leaders of that team. But it's going to be a tough season, and I think Harold is doing everything he can with what he's got. Looking at the schedule, they play in the Derby Classic right before Christmas break, and then they have to take on Paintsville in the All-A right after the Christmas break. So and that'll be a tough measuring stick as well. And statistics-wise, you look at Braxton Keithley, 35 a game, but you return Tegan Sloan, who averaged around 8 points, and Ryan Reynolds, who's only averaging around 3, but had some big moments for them last season. So it's going to be a tough year for Prestonsburg. I know they'll be competitive, but when you look at the upper echelon of the 58th district, man, you got some teams you got to try to get past.
Two things I want to add. One, congratulations to Tegan in the scrimmage this past Saturday.
Yeah, listen.
Now, how can you just think what this does to your mindset? You had some tough spots last year. You averaged 8 points a game.
Yeah.
You go out on your first scrimmage. It's just totally different. And the kid scores 50 points.
50.
There's one thing about a kid scoring 50 points, and I've referred this to Landon Sloan many times. When you have a kid that can score 40 points in a high school game or 50 points, there's a reason that they do. They're the most well-conditioned kid on the floor.
Exactly.
And so Tegan has just came off, and we got to since we're on Prestonsburg, hold that thought here for a second. But Tegan just came off a successful soccer season, broke the season assist record in soccer, and someone is partial to assists here. And then Coach Jason Sloan won Prestonsburg's first soccer regional championship. He comes off the soccer field, and I was telling you before we got on, playing against Cove Catholic like the Prestonsburg played against Beechwood, same area. I'm telling you, little Tegan came in the gym the other day, and he looked like he had been beat up by about 3 guys that just took him out to the shed. And another kid, 2 kids I want to add. I think Ryan Reynolds could have a good season. But now Waylon Butcher is a kid that is another kid that flies under the radar. You got junior guard Andrew Goebel, quick as a cat. And you've got some guys that, there's rumors that some football players are coming out. I hope they do. But you got to hand it off to these kids that have came on because they hear what's going on in town. And to have that mindset and play as hard as they did Saturday, again, it's sometimes, guys, it's not about the wins and losses. It's how hard you play the game.
Yep, and I did with talking to Harold a couple weeks ago. He did at that time. He said that they would have some surprises from the football team once their season ended. So I'm sure they're still trying to get them integrated into the game plan. So we'll just have to wait and see whenever the season starts.
And to end on Prestonsburg, man, you guys are at Beechwood last Friday night, and Tyler Stevens, they've got a mentor program, and Tyler and Tegan and Ryan come to the gym, and I think it's a great little program to do. And I knew it was big odds. Everybody knew that, but I think what happened is maybe can you see the kids at Prestonsburg look and see, okay, this is what it takes. Can we be Beechwood in a year? Can we be Beechwood in 2 years? No. But can we start establishing ourselves? Look, we're going to hit the weights, and we're going to dedicate ourselves a little bit more because I don't think once you play a team like that, you can see it on film. But as Tyler said, Coach, I didn't know they were that fast.
Well,
So,
we
take it
had
what-
talked on the air. What the job that Wes Hager's done in 2 years is nothing
Absolutely.
short of remarkable.
Yeah.
To even get them in that position back-to-back years in a region championship game, and you go against the team last year in Somerset, you play them close, but there's still a little bit of a gap between you and Somerset, who's been well established for a lot longer than 2 years.
Great point.
And then you go to Beechwood, you're not going to get to
Man.
that level in 2 years. And and it was 49 to nothing, 42 nothing.
42, yeah.
And it honestly, Steve may disagree. It wasn't overly flashy. It almost just seemed like you
They-
looked up and it's 7. Well, you look up, it's 28, and it's like, where did this? It wasn't an 80-yard pass. It wasn't a break a big 50-yard run. It just kind of, I don't know, man. It's just a efficient.
Efficient, well-played
It's-
football on
it's
both
just
sides.
it's a different
It
monster,
was.
and
That's the level Prestonsburg aspires to get to, obviously, but it's going to take a while because the way the field was set up, Mark, and we'll move on. And
Oh, I've seen it.
Prestonsburg was right there on that sideline, and you look across all of Beechwood's 18 state championship banners. So that's an intimidation
And
factor.
they walk out 2 by 2.
Yeah.
They rub the little statue outside the
it's,
athletic center, and it's But no, I mean you lose 3 games in your first 2 years as a head coach. You playing back-to-back region championships, and Steve's right. You're not going to get to that point overnight. The fact that you got to that point in the season in back-to-back years so quickly, I think is just a true testament to what him and his staff have been able to do.
Let me add this. If Coach Hager keeps doing what he's doing and motivating the town like that and making the money that he made for the town this year, hey, Rick Hughes, you better be taking care of business, Rick, because we got a potential mayor candidate. If he had won that game at Beechwood, guess what?
Oh, man.
They would have been a new mayor.
Yeah, they'd have sworn him in on the way home.
Still be celebrating.
But great job on Prestonsburg Soccer and Prestonsburg
Yeah,
High School.
congratulations.
We're not being biased. They were just the 2 teams that played in a regional final, and Prestonsburg Soccer, that's their first regional title. So if you've got a regional winner out there we don't know, send them in. We'll brag on them too. So looking at the 60th, hits Floyd Pike. Oh, I meant to say Pikeville, but Elisha Justice entering his 10th season, and well, you got to give him credit, guys. He's one of the best that's ever came out of here as a player. And, when you have Rick Pitino coming to the Expo Center to watch you as there's not many Rick Patinos coming in town, but there will be for one kid particularly. But he's done well at Pikeville, and last season's record kind of down as far as wins. He's 16-9 last year. They lost to Pikeville, which I thought was Prestonsburg's biggest win in the last couple of years in that 65-63. Braxton just blew up that game.
Yeah,
I mean,
that really catapulted him to a stretch that we haven't seen in a long time.
It was one of those games that he said, I can do it both ways, because the knock on him at that time was, well, you just shoot the 3 and do all that. But and it's the first win for Prestonsburg over Pikeville since the 2008 season. And the season outlook, senior guard Jackson Keene, I know the family, and he returns for his senior year with 14 points. He's a good three-point shooter, hit 56 and 134, and now being joined by junior guard Carter Parsons from Betsy Lane and his 18 points, and sophomore Wesley Buck and Alan Gillespie from transfer. But still, Pikeville's going to have the mix, they're going to have the depth, and they're going to be Pikeville.
And they're going to have speed, from what I've heard.
They're going to
too.
have
They're going to have a
NIL.
lot of NIL and a lot of speed on the court. So.
But they've had NIL forever.
The games on January 22nd when they go to Betsy Lane and February 16th when they go to Floyd Central, I think have some added intrigue
Yeah, no doubt.
the last couple weeks and months.
And do we do those games?
I know for sure we've got the Floyd Central game on the schedule.
I think we do have that
Betsy
one on there.
Lane one, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head.
Well, and then
check.
May have to add it if it's not.
I'll check. I've got
Matt
those scores
Turry's
for
at Shelby Valley. Eastridge, I think, is kind of building still yet a little bit. The thing about Eastridge, they've lost a lot of players to Pikeville and also Shelby Valley throughout the years. And,
that's a tough spot.
Yes.
It's the world it is. The last couple of years, it's you get a player that gets up to a certain level, and either they graduate before you can actually do something with them in terms of team success, or
That dirty cheer ice cream and pop makes it look pretty good.
or they go somewhere else, and it's just Eastridge had a really good guy last year in Carter Dameron, 19 points a game, just graduated, but it's a tough spot to be in,
You talk about good coaching hires, as far as coaching landscape with schools switching coaches. We brought in a Hall of Fame coach over at Pike Central. Speaking of hazard, Al Holland. Boy, you want to talk about. So I think Al, he's going to come in and, he's going to be like Coach Perry. He's going to upgrade the expectations. I just worry about the talent depth there. And Dillon in the 60th, they could come out with champions because kind of Phelps, had a good year last year, but still yet with Pike Central and Belfry, we're going to see what the Perry guy does on his second year at Belfry. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Big Al in the final 8.
No, and like you said, the depth may be the biggest thing because they've been so reliant on Jaden Stewart the last couple of years. Not that there haven't been anybody else, but you rely that heavily on one person. And you mentioned Phelps. I think Phelps has the best player in the district, and Tyler Weddington.
Yeah.
20 points, 17 rebounds a game last year.
Player.
Led them to the round of 8 and got their first tournament win in the region since '88. I think he's probably the best player, preseason district player of the year. But I think the depth at Pike Central may be a factor, at least early on. But listen, Al Holland doesn't have his resume for nothing.
Weddington's getting a lot of ink here in preseason chatter, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the preseason polls are like this with us, but we try to give you a little bit more concrete evidence to let you buy by, but most of these preseason polls are just good barbershop talk. But Weddington's getting some ink, and like you said, and you and Steve agreed, I think he's a kid that's deserving of it.
Just a junior, I'd love to see him stick around and help Matt Lane, their first-year head coach, do something do something there and not go chase something. 21 points, 17 boards as a sophomore. And,
wow.
And listen, we saw him at the regional tournament. You see the numbers and you wonder, is it competition? Is it this? But
good point.
You do it at the regional tournament, it's legit.
And he done it then.
And he did it at the regional tournament. Yeah. So it's he was something else, and he does it a variety of ways. But I'm excited to see the season that he has and to kind of see what Phelps does to follow up the success they had last year.
Guys, anything else to add on the 60th District or the 59th? I know we kind of skidded past that, but
just to follow up with Belfry, I think Belfry is going to be a team that is going to be very interesting. They went 8-20 last year, but I talked to Coach Brent Perry, and he said that they do return some key players, but you want to talk about NIL. They went out and got some guys in the so-called transfer portal. They
crossed the river.
Yeah, across the river and up the road, even on 119. So they did have a couple of guys from Pike Central that did leave. So you mix in with that. So, of course, I think on paper they will be good, but it's going to be interesting to see if Coach Perry and his staff has been able to mesh that talent that has come in with what they've already got coming back. So, but I think they could be a dark horse contender to make some noise in the region.
I think they're going to be significantly better than last year.
Yeah, me too.
And we joke about NIL. You are allowed to make money in high school in Kentucky. It is limited. It's not wide open as some other states, but you can make money in Kentucky high school basketball.
Ohio just put that in
yeah.
yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah. Kentucky's is a little bit more limited than other states, but it's we throw it around, and it's been kind of a running joke for decades, I feel like.
Yeah.
But it's legit now.
Everything's a trickle-down effect, though, is all it is. So.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it looks like we've covered pretty much, and we appreciate everyone that's chimed in. And, Josh, can we pull up the schedule and see? Or, Steve, if you got it?
Yeah, I've got it right here.
And just let everyone know this month where we'll be, and then we'll come back and next show do the January schedule. But I know we're going to be at Martin. Well, we're going to be at Martin County next Tuesday.
Yeah, so that's where we kick things off next Tuesday. Great opening game for us here, and especially for all the fans. Floyd Central will travel over to Martin County on December the 2nd. And then next Friday the 5th, we will actually be doing a district doubleheader. Floyd Central travels to Prestonsburg next Friday the 5th. And then on Wednesday, December the 10th, Floyd Central girls will be going over to the WYMT Classic. Now, I guess, we're still working some things out on that one, but hopefully we will be able to call that one. They will be taking on Knox, Knox. And then on that Friday, December 12th, Betsy Lane at Floyd Central. That'll be a boy and girl doubleheader. And then Tuesday, the 16th, Floyd Central at Johnson Central girls. So that should be an interesting matchup right there. And as of right now, that's what we have for all of December. Of course, Christmas will be soon after that. And you never know with weather, so that's always a factor as well. So,
Guys, any closing comments?
Coach, I just want to say I can't wait. I'm looking forward to everything.
Buddy, thank you.
Looking forward to calling games with you this season. It's been we talked about it before we came on that we caught some games. Gosh, it's been years ago now. And, I'd called games for MDJ with the late, great Chuck Scoville. And after Josh had moved on to WYMT and calling games was always a treat with Chuck. And then you had filled in for him after that. And so I'm definitely looking forward to and, of course, Josh as well. So I'm looking forward to getting back in the saddle with you guys.
The last couple of weeks, and Steve and I have talked just kind of privately, and, when you go to a football game every Friday, fatigue sets in naturally. Just the grind of going to a field and going to a press box and setting up. Not that it's not enjoyable. I loved our road trip to Beechwood last week.
That was fun.
I've loved every second of football season. But there's always that kind of in the back of your mind that I don't want to say dread. That's a negative word. But it's hard to get excited for basketball because you're winding down football and you get the fatigue of it all.
There's no break.
No, there's not. But doing the prep for this and talking to the coaches, I said at the beginning of the show, it's kind of been rejuvenating because I cannot wait for basketball to start. Looking at the schedule, traveling a little bit. Basketball in Floyd County is not like anything else around. And some good basketball this season. 15th region will be fun to cover. We've got some really intriguing matchups, boys and girls, I'm excited about. And next Tuesday at Martin County, still trying to iron out the details. We may be able to stream it. We'll let you all know on social media sooner rather than later. It will definitely be a radio broadcast. Streaming, we're hoping to get it worked out. But what a way to tip off basketball season next Tuesday between two teams that scored a bajillion points the last time they met at Pike Central.
I'm excited to see a lot of the kids, and Yumika Howard just checked in, and boy, Yumika, I tell you what, if Luke –
talk about athletes.
If Luke plays as well as Yumika and plays as hard as Yumika did for us at Allen Central, and boy, it makes you feel old when you got
I don't know if he'll have a chance with her. Do you think she'll let him take any plays off?
No way.
No, not me.
No way.
Not me. Meek would she would ball out the big girl. if Becky was dragging, Mika would be the one that says, "Hey, Beck, get on down the road." But it's been fun, and I hope everyone enjoyed the format. We tried to divide everything up to make it not just so hard on either one of us, and I think that's part of the mentality that us three are taking into the season. Our preseason meeting went well, and then we came back and we did really, the thing of confidence already. Neither one of us really texts, "Hey, are you doing this? You doing that?" And that's a sign of trust. And right off the bat, if you've got that in the locker room as a coach, boy, you've got good things already perking in the crock pot. And so I'm excited to be in the seat. And guys, it's a tremendous passion for me. And to do it, and someone asked, when did you start doing this? How did you get? I said, I'll tell you, 7th grade, 6th grade, 5th grade, backyard. Everybody's done it.
Yeah.
But I didn't I didn't do the last second shot. I wanted the roster. I would keep the state tournament programs going there. But I'm excited, and again, I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it, and excited to get this show rocking and rolling, and we're going to do it next Tuesday night at Martin County. And so excited to see the Floyd Central group go up against a Martin County team. Man, oh, man, be ready to tune in because the show will be rocking, and it will be a game that you'll be glad that you tuned in because we're not going to give opinions. We're there to give you a show. We're going to give you facts, and who worries about UK? We'll worry about UK when UK plays, but we're going to keep the main thing, and that's representing WMDJ, and proud to be part of the WMDJ sports team, guys. So for Josh and Steve, I know everybody, you two are traveling a little bit over the weekend. Have a great weekend, and for everyone, be thankful.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Sometimes I think we all get caught up in what we
Amen.
don't have, but this time of year, man, make it simple and be kind to everybody. Yeah, if you're kind, boy, you're the minority anymore.
That's right.
So be weird, okay? So
Be weird.
happy Thanksgiving, guys. And for Josh and Steve, I'm Mark Martin. See you Tuesday night, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.